Sports, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can he be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just
Sometimes
did.
the bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
Despite me being a Yankee fan, I think Joe would deserve the label as Aaron Judge's biggest fan, not through any bias, but just through the amount of money that he's made anybody who's been betting on him.
I just had him for that home run, and I'm going to go back to it today. That home run coming in at plus 230. Max Fried here, while he has been strong, this is Aaron Judge.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. It is Friday. Great to be with you back here on the show for the next hour. We have you covered with the very latest going on in the NBA. Some new signings. Of course, the trades are going on as well as the draft. So stick with us as we'll give you the very latest and recap it all. In addition, we've got Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News on the show. Jim Gazzale is with us for the latest on sports betting going on across the country. And not to mention, we're going to update you on everything happening in Major League Baseball as well. But let's get started with history about to be made, because it is now official that Bronny James, the son of LeBron James, is going to be on the Los Angeles Lakers this season. They drafted him yesterday. He was minus 135 on the FanDuel Sportsbook to be taken by the Lakers. That seemed low. He ends up being drafted by the Lakers 55th overall, and provided that LeBron James opts into the final year of his contract, which, by the way, is $51.4 million, LeBron and Bronny at some point this season figured to be on the same court. Really interesting notes here for Bronny James, who naturally passed up another season at USC. We'll see if it was the right decision in the future, but for the present, he is on the Lakers. Yesterday was kind of funny that during some of the draft discussion, Bob Myers appeared on ESPN saying that the agent for LeBron James, and naturally his son Bronny James, Rich Paul, called teams telling them not to draft LeBron James unless you want to see him playing in Australia, because that's where he's going to go. I don't know if that was actually a strategy that worked, but needless to say, at least for the time being, it appeared that it did. Meanwhile, the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers, Rob Pelinka, talked about drafting Bronny and how another chapter in Lakers history is about to be made.
I think about the Los Angeles Lakers. I think about, a franchise where basketball history just sort of unfolds and takes place. I mean, if you think back to the origins of the game of basketball and Dr. Naismith and, Peach Basket and all that's emanated from the invention of the game. And you think that in the history of the NBA, there's never been a father and a son that have shared an NBA basketball court. And that feels like something that could be magical. And we know and have to respect, of course, that LeBron has a decision about his opt-out. And I'm sure he and his family and his agent will deliberate what they're going to do there. And of course, he has freedom to decide whatever's best for him and his family. But if it worked out that he was on our team next season, NBA history could be made. And NBA history should be made in a Lakers uniform.
It'll be one of the biggest moments in sports history when the two of them do play on the same court. But needless to say, this story has had quite a bit of legs over the last couple of weeks. Also, another story in the NBA coming out here that Emmanuel quickly will sign a 5-year, $175 million deal and stay with the Toronto Raptors, according to Stadium Sports. Meanwhile, in the NBA draft yesterday, second round now officially in the books. A couple of names just to kind of go over here. Kyle Filipowski, 7-footer who played with the Duke Blue Devils, was taken 32nd overall by the Utah Jazz. Tyler Kolek out of Marquette was selected by the Knicks with the 34th pick. In 31 games, Kolek averaged 15 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. Jamal Shedd, point guard out of Houston, was selected by the Toronto Raptors 45th overall, 9 points, 5 assists, and 2 rebounds per game. Jamal Murray may be getting paid. A new contract extension could be in line for him. A 4-year, $209 million extension this offseason. We'll see if he ends up signing it. In the WNBA last night, 95-83 the final. The Aces win again, beating the Sky. Angel Reese made history in the loss, youngest player in WNBA history to record 9 straight triple-doubles. And Seattle defeated Indiana 89-77. Unfortunately, another loss for the Fever and Caitlin Clark, who, simply put, says they're trying to win.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're competitors, like, we want to win, and I felt like it didn't really ever feel great out there tonight, even when we cut it to 9, like it just didn't feel like it was flowing too well, and but, like, we want to win more than anybody. Like, this is our job. Like, our job is to compete every single day, and AB would say the same thing. Like, nobody enjoys losing. Like, it's not fun to lose and have lost 12 games, and we're not even at the halfway point of our season yet. Like, we're trying to give it our all and be able to win every single night, and, you know, we expect to win, so, like, we're not going to be walking around the court, like, smiling when you're down 15 points. So I think just, you know, being able to find that competitive edge at the same time as staying positive is a hard thing at times, but I think we can definitely do a little bit better and continue to just motivate one another, because, you know, sometimes you're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games, but, you know, it's a team sport. You got to find a way to lean on your teammates and, you know, stay connected, and I think we can do a little bit better job of that too.
Well, the Fever have a long way to go. WNBA season still runs throughout the summer and almost into the fall as well. All right, in Major League Baseball, good and bad news for the Philadelphia Phillies. They'll probably want to get rid of this good news because it doesn't matter. The bad news is they had a couple of injuries yesterday, one potentially significant to Bryce Harper, who made the All-Star game with the most votes in the National League, but left the game yesterday with a hamstring issue. He talked about it after the game and said that basically he had never felt anything like this before, so he has no idea how long he's going to be out. Also, Kyle Schwarber had some groin tightness. Looks like the Phillies will be shorthanded going up against the Marlins again tonight. Carlos Correa yesterday left the game in Arizona after being hit by a pitch on his left arm. Correa having a fantastic season for the Minnesota Twins, but also has missed some time this season with an intercostal strain, so we'll see if Correa ends up back in the lineup for the Twins this weekend. Blue Jays beat the Yankees 9-2 the final there, as Yankees have lost 4 games in a row. They've outscored 21-4 in their last 4 games. Toronto was plus money yesterday there, and really good news for a young player. Davis Daniel, right-handed pitcher for the Angels, first Major League start, 5-0 win over the Tigers in the series opener on Thursday night at Angels Stadium. He joined Bill Kelso, Andy Messersmith, and Steve Keeley as the only Angels pitchers to throw 8+ scoreless innings in their first career start. So really cool history there for the young kid on the Angels. All right, did you subscribe to Sunday NFL Ticket on DirecTV? I mean, there certainly is a chance in the future you may be getting some money here. I'm not positive. Don't get excited. I'm not positive about this because, you know, the league is going to fight this. But in court yesterday, how about this? The jury ordered the league to pay $4.7 billion in damages to the residential class, meaning you, me, and everyone else, and $96 million to the commercial class for subscribing to Sunday NFL Ticket. Basically, the lawsuit claims that the league broke antitrust laws by selling its package of Sunday games at an inflated price. Don't you know? $400, $500 over the last couple of years. The league maintains, hey, we can sell it for whatever we want under its antitrust exemption for broadcasting. So don't look in your mailbox for a check anytime soon. Meanwhile, monster upset yesterday in soccer. The U.S. men's team lost yesterday to Panama by a final of 2-1 at Copa America. And certainly not the best look here. Their hopes for qualifying for the knockout stage are slim. Leo Messi will not play in Argentina's final group stage at Copa America against Peru at Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida on Saturday night. He confirmed that he still is having a hamstring issue. And as of right now, it does not appear he will play. And also, the Oilers general manager, Ken Holland, is not expected to return to the team that went all the way, of course, to the finals this past season. And he was with his sixth year with the team, wasn't given an extension after the Oilers lost after the last season's loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. So we'll see what they end up doing in Edmonton after the disappointing but very exciting Stanley Cup Finals. All right, coming up next, we dive back into the NBA. And as fast as LeBron James' son Bronny was drafted is as fast as the sportsbook put up odds on betting on things for him for next year. I mean, it's sort of crazy to think that this kid has not been an NBA player for 24 hours, and you can already bet on a lot of his props, scoring props, three-point props. We'll dive into it all as Matt Lutovsky joins us from Sporting News. Coming up next, we'll also talk about some of the winners and losers from the draft. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. And we'll be right back after these messages. Stick with us where it's smarter to be on SportsGrid 24/7. Be right back after this.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
Nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. History is going to be made in the National Basketball Association at some point. LeBron James and his son Bronny James are going to play on the same court, on the same team, and that's never happened in the history of the NBA. Matt Lutovsky joins us. Matt, I think if I'm looking at this from a historical perspective, this is going to go down as one of the big moments all time in the history of sports. I don't think there's any question about that, and that's why we're talking about it so much. I guess the thing that I find fascinating is once that happens, and that moment happens, and it'll be a big one. I mean, it's right there with Griffey and Griffey Jr. Like, I mean, trust me, I'm not diminishing this at all. I think it's incredible. But I guess the question is, once that happens, that moment happens, where do we go from there? You know, like, he's kind of has to be a decent player, I think, or else there's going to be so much anti-discussion about this. So the build up to the moment's going to be awesome. The moment is going to be incredible, but I think that that's going to be fleeting unless this kid can play.
Well, yeah, and I think that you're already hearing the detractors, obviously, as many people have been excited about this. There's been just as many people who haven't. And you're right, it's going to be a really cool moment when it happens. Good for them, of course, but I would say most number 55 overall picks play in the G League. And that's the question. Are they going to send him down? Is he going to play in the G League? Is he going to be on a two-way, or does he just get to hang out with the T-ball gear? Is that weird for other people on the team? I would imagine if it happens, it's going to be garbage time, in which case, why would LeBron be in garbage time? Well, it's just to make this moment happen, and that'll be cool. But so I don't see them playing together a lot, that's for sure. And I would imagine if Bronny gets in most of the time, it's either going to be because the Lakers are up by 20 or down by 20. And it's just going to be sort of is what it is at that point. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. You wonder how the teammates are going to react. And I'm sure when he gets in, there's going to be players on the other team that want to take him to the hole and maybe dunk on him if they can. So, it's a fascinating turn of events, as if the Lakers needed another soap opera to make their franchise more interesting.
Yep, it is Hollywood, and so not a huge surprise there. All right, so that story is really overwhelmed more than any other draft discussion at this point. It's like the draft is come and gone; nobody even cares, to be honest with you. A couple of players from France drafted with the first 2 picks. It's going to be a very much a wait-and-see situation, it feels like, Matt. At least that's what the teams are saying. No guarantee, at least initially, of playing time. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think the first 2 picks in the draft may not play initially in the NBA. But there's some nice stories, too, I think, to go along with this. And it was definitely intriguing to see some players fall. Was there a bigger takeaway than what I'm describing here for you from this draft?
No, I think you're right. I think this is that draft where, I mean, everyone's been saying it for the last couple months leading up to it. It's a weak draft, so to speak, more so at the top. But I kind of looked at it that, like, from pick, I don't know, maybe we'll say 7 or 8 on, it was a normal draft, which maybe sounds weird, but it was just sort of like, yeah, the guy who went 8 in this draft or 10 in this draft would have gone 8 or 10 most years, but it was just 1 through 7 would have gone 8 to 10 most years. So that makes for a very strange draft with all the foreign players going early. It makes it a little tough to evaluate. But even more than that, like, you really look at the top 10. So, you had 3 guys from France that are tough to evaluate. You had 2 giants in Donovan Clingan and Zach Edey, who are always going to be polarizing, a player with that type of build. You had 2 small guys with slight builds in Reed Sheppard and Rob Dillingham. Those types of guys are always going to be polarizing. You had another G Leaguer in Ron Holland, who was kind of polarizing. You had Stephen Castle, who's very good, but isn't a great shooter. So there's no one really who stands out in that top 10 that you go, oh, he's really good, he's a sure thing. And that's very strange. There's usually at least 1 or 2 guys you feel really good about. And then there's a couple other guys, most people like, there's a general consensus on. I haven't seen that in this draft, which makes it very strange.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is we may not know the success of this draft overall for a few years. And that's not unusual, but at least most of the prognosticators say this is going to be on the low end. Now, I know that you did some winners and some losers of this draft. Let's start off with the team that you think scored the best in your mind out of the draft.
Well, I think that the Timberwolves, not so much for who they took. I think, again, these are polarizing guys, both the guys they took, but it was more the process. I think this draft, more than any, we really have to judge the process of teams. And the Timberwolves had to take a swing. They have no money, tough to get any free agents there. And they said, well, this is the way we have to navigate the new salary cap. They took a huge swing a pick in 2031. Who cares? Who knows if the world will still exist then? So they made their move for a team that's ready to win now. So I applaud the process that they made.
All right. And then as far as teams you think that did not do well, one of the most popular players in the history of the Purdue Boilermakers, you didn't like that location.
Well, no, and again, he's a very polarizing guy. I've heard people on both sides of that. Some love him, some don't. I think he's very good. I think there's upside there, but I just didn't think the value was as good as it could have been. I thought the rest of their draft was a little bit average. They got shooters, it's second-round pick, so you can only judge that so much. I just didn't like the value, and again, he's a very polarizing pick. So I just, you'll find people who give that an A+. It's very tough to evaluate.
All right, before we go, Matt, Saturday is the date for LeBron James. Got to decide whether or not he wants to stay with the Lakers, opt out. Some other NBA news and notes. What are you following this weekend? What do you think the big story will become next week?
Well, it's definitely going to be LeBron, and I think we got a little spoiler alert with the draft pick, right? So I would be shocked if he didn't go there. I mean, that would be fun. That would be a soap opera. Then maybe we can get Bronny demanding a trade or something like that crazy. So that would be fun to watch. But otherwise, yeah, it's just looking at some of these guys who are out there. I don't think there's a lot of huge things that are going to happen. It might be a little bit of a slow roll, but there's definitely going to be some things that happen that surprise some people, that shift the balance of the league even slightly, even if they happen on the margins, if they're with good teams.
All right, we'll find out. Thanks for the breakdown, Matt. Really appreciate it. We'll catch up next week.
It sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Sports Grid Sound Off. Coming up next, more on the recap from the NBA draft.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
Nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on Sports Grid. It's the story the world is talking about today. Bronny James drafted 55th by the Los Angeles Lakers. So inevitably, at some point, he's going to debut, and he's going to end up playing with his dad on the same court at the same time, and he's going to make history, and it'll be one of the biggest moments in sports history as well. If you're on social media, like me, and I'm sure a lot of you as well, you're seeing a lot of positive, but it is social media. So you're seeing a lot of negative as well. So who do we call on to wade through the fun and the dirt? We got our very own Kevin Walsh talking about what it means for Bronny, what it means for the Lakers, and what it should mean for you.
It's official. Bronny is a Laker. The Lakers drafted Bronny James, LeBron's son, at 55. Social media abuzz. Opinions, takes, some good, some awful, continued as this decision was made by the Lakers. A decision that the books were anticipating stronger and stronger as the moment grew closer. What does this all mean, though, for the Lakers? I think most importantly, LeBron is going to come back. Any doubt of that should be squashed now. They have more moves to make, currently sitting at 40-1 to win the title. The books believe they are out of range of being a true contender. What's next for Bronny? Summer League. And based on the way they had draft props up for Bronny, I do think we will see some point props for Bronny James out in Vegas. Craig, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Some props right now for the regular season. I wonder if there'll be any for the Summer League. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Lakers' first game is July 12th. That's when it begins for Bronny and the Lakers in the Summer League as well. All right, well, the career for KJ Simpson begins, and if you're not familiar with him, he was drafted by Charlotte with the 42nd pick in the NBA draft last night. Now, I'm sure that there are a lot of folks out there that are like, okay, well, you know, what's the big deal? A player gets drafted, he's a second-round pick, may not even make it to the league. And indeed, that is the case for a lot of these kids who get drafted in the second round. Usually they're G League players. Some don't even get a chance to play in the NBA. But I don't know that that's going to matter after watching this last night from KJ Simpson, who certainly was overwhelmed with joy and a video that I would call must watch.
I just went through so much to get here. And to be here in this moment, have my parents right here. You know, everybody back in the hotel room, everybody I supported back home. Nobody expected me to be here, so. Oh, man, it just feels good. It feels good, but I know it's not over, and I just can't wait to go and keep proving people wrong. And, you know, my story's not written, and it's all God's plan. I'm just thankful.
I'm seeing your tears. I'm seeing your parents' tears. I know your dad had a huge influence on your basketball game. How's that going to translate to the NBA for you?
Oh, I mean, he taught me to be an all-around player, and, you know, I wanted to do that in every level. And at Colorado, I showed it. And, you know, in the NBA, it's not going to change. You know, I'm just going to be an all-around player and go out there and do whatever the teams need me to do, and I'm going to run through a brick wall for them.
Go enjoy this with your parents.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Great moment there for KJ Simpson. And you know, honestly, you know, those are the kind of moments that I still think, with all of the negativity that's out there, that those really resonate, I think, in sports. So really great to see this young kid, whether he makes it or not, he's always got his draft moment, and I think comes across really humble, too, with his parents there as well. So great job there by KJ Simpson and his family. Not a great job for the Yankees last night. Carlos Rodon got hit around a little bit. George Springer homered twice against the Yankees yesterday. After the game, Rodon certainly not happy about giving up 8 earned runs. I think that's to say the least. And Yankees just not playing good baseball right now.
I think kind of left on the foot with a slider, missed on that pitch, and then, you know, broken bat, soft contact, and then, you know, they made it happen. Springer maybe pay on I think it was a fastball in, 1-2 count. Needed to go up a little higher with that, or, you know, out of the strike zone, try to get a chase, but he hammered it. Yeah, they put some really good swings on some fastballs tonight that I didn't execute, and yeah, it was not fun. You know, the stuff's there. It's probably, you know, missing over the middle or miss of location. The command's just not great right now. So some adjustments to be made, you know, this week. Yeah, this is just need to be better.
Yankees at least get some good news yesterday. Aaron Judge, the #1 overall vote getter in the American League, and he will be in the All-Star game next month in Texas. We'll take a quick time out here on the show. We come back next. Jim Gazzale joins us here on the program. The latest on some sports betting news out of the state of Indiana and Louisiana. I'll have it for you next.
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
It was nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome back to NewsWire. Some fines in Indiana, updated news in Louisiana surrounding the world of sports betting. We'll get to the bottom of it with our next guest, Jim Gazzale of Legal Sports Report. You can read all about these stories that we discuss here on the show each and every day over at LegalSportsReport.com. So Jim joins us now here on the show. And Jim, we start off with an exit for a sports betting retail company called Betfred. A very popular international company, by the way, maybe not as much here in the United States. And where is Betfred exiting, and what do you make of their exit?
Yeah, Craig, you're absolutely right. Popular in the UK, not as popular in the US. So they are, Betfred, departing the Maryland sports betting market. The retail sports book at Long Shots in Frederick, Maryland, will be closing on Sunday, 2 days from now. And the Betfred app will shutter on July 31st. So another month for the online operation. And it really should not come as much of a surprise. They haven't really gained much traction in that Maryland market since November 2022, when they launched their $20.1 million in handle. They generated about $1.5 million in revenue. Both of those totals account for less than 0.5% of market share in Maryland. And just to kind of compare that with the market leader there in Maryland, which is FanDuel, $3.5 billion in bets for FanDuel over that time. And they've generated $478.8 million in revenue. It is live. Betfred is live in a handful of other markets around the U.S. where we have some eyes on some additional data. Certain states, as you know, Craig, do put out individual operator statistics on a monthly basis. So where we can see those, Arizona, Iowa, and Ohio, that market share, around 1%, little less than 1% of market share in terms of revenue and handle, kind of holds true across those markets, Arizona, Iowa, and Ohio, like it does in Maryland. So totaling those four markets together, about $4.5 million in revenue from $166 million in bets across those 4 states. So not much of a surprise in Maryland, as Betfred plans to exit here. Retail ending in 2 days, online ending July 31st. And as they leave, a couple others are entering that Maryland sports betting market. Veteran Services Corp has an online license that's going to kick off on July 1st. Ballybet is going to enter the market at some point in July. And just a few days ago, Better, the micro betting platform, just got approval for a sports betting license in Maryland. No exact timetable for when they'll launch, but those three are entering that Maryland sports betting market as Betfred exits here in the next couple of days.
All right, so we'll see if success happens with especially the micro betting company. That's the one we're keeping a close eye on, I know, for this year as well. Okay, so some self-exclusion bets placed, some self-imposed fines. Interesting to see this being done by two Indiana sports betting apps. What happened here? Who were the apps, and what did they find themselves for?
Yeah, some interesting stuff in Indiana. And every 6 or 8 weeks or so, they have their state gaming commission meetings, and they do dish out a fair bit of fines to the operators. And in this case, BetMGM and Fanatics both agreed to pay $2,500 in fines from those Indiana sports betting regulators. And it turns out that some tech changes that they were working on kind of opened up the door for some prohibited players to place bets. Those players were on that self-exclusion list, and some of these tech changes allowed them to then re-access those accounts and place some bets. So for Fanatics, one person was able to place more than $3,200 in bets after his account was accidentally turned back on when Fanatics was migrating over from PointsBet towards the end of February. That player was able to deposit $1,300. He made about 22 bets, and Fanatics was able to sort of self-identify that error. They caught the error themselves. They alerted the regulators, and they suspended that account as soon as they were able to determine that, and refunded that player whatever that remaining balance was, about $1,100 in that account. Now, on MGM side, similar sort of issue. If you recall, around last summer, they were migrating a lot of their tech to that single account, single wallet. So if you had an Indiana sports betting account with MGM, then you could use that same app in any of the other states that they were live. And when they were migrating this over, it was pulling all of these self-exclusion lists, which were, prior to that change, all individual lists in each individual state. So this migration to that single account, single wallet was pulling all of these self-exclusion lists into a singular database, which would then prevent anybody on that list, let's say in Indiana, they'd be prohibited from playing in any other state that they were located in. For this one player, this account did not migrate properly. This player was able to create a fresh account and deposit several $100s, make an undisclosed number of bets before BetMGM was able to detect this error. They were then, able to suspend this account, refund that player whatever that remaining balance was. It was about $100, $110, and then self-report that to Indiana. So, like I said off the top, 2 fines for BetMGM and Fanatics, $2,500 a piece for allowing prohibited players to access those sports betting apps and place bets when they were on that self-exclusion list.
Yeah, and smaller wagers too. So, no harm, no foul necessarily. Good to see them taking action against themselves as well. All right, so big money being bet in Louisiana. And, of course, with the tax rate there, right now it appears that this is going to be a very big win for the state based on the amount of sports betting that went on there in May.
Yeah, so Louisiana state regulators collected $5.5 million from the sports books in May as their, in privilege fees, if you will. And that's the largest tax payment so far this year. And it was a little bit of a perfect storm, I guess. The sports books posted another double-digit hold as they have, grown pretty accustomed to their 13% win rate for the sports books. And you combine that with the limited promotional deductions, which we typically see during these late spring and summer months. Louisiana has some interesting promotional deduction rules too. So those promo deductions never really balloon there like we see in other states. But combine those fewer promotional deductions along with that 13% hold drove that higher tax payment to the state. And like we've talked about seemingly every month here, Craig, Louisianans love those parlays, and they keep pumping the sports books full of money. $21.3 million in sportsbook winnings off those parlays, which made up the vast majority of total revenue, which came in at $31.2 million in revenue for May. So the bulk of that, like I said, coming from those combo bets, Craig, that they just seem to love down there.
Yeah, and $5.5 million in tax revenue off those little parlay bets. That seems like a lot of people are placing a lot of same-game parlays. Thanks, Jim, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Craig.
All right, coming up next, Joe Pisapia joins us, of course, of the Fantasy Black Book here and SportsGrid. Baseball talk coming up next with Joey P. Don't go away.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
Nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. You know, we cover other content than sports wagering. I don't know if those of you, maybe just watching NewsWire, you have no idea. We do fantasy sports every Saturday morning and Sunday morning. And the two sports we cover predominantly, let's be honest, are football during the football season and baseball during the baseball season. And since we're in the middle of the fantasy baseball season and closing in on football season, we thought it'd be a good time to bring in Joe Pisapia to talk some Major League Baseball and maybe some fantasy as well. We'll mix it up. Joe's with me here now on the show. I've hosted with Joe on and off. I mean, it's 20 years? Is it 20? It's definitely 10.
It's 15.
Is it 20?
It's Ben Affleck and J-Lo and you and me. We're right there neck and neck. That's where we are.
15 years. That is crazy, man. That is crazy. 15 years having kids and all this other stuff has just flown by. So, but anyway, nobody's interested in that. They're like, who are these two schmoes talking? I want to hear some fantasy talk. All right. So let's start off with, the fantasy asset and, the baseball asset is a pitcher on the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I'm not even going to give a name out here. It's like if any pitcher pitches for the Dodgers, you want them in a fantasy league because what you want to do is pick them up because you know that they're going to win a lot of games. That's kind of gone well, Joe, this year for some, not as well for others. What do you think has happened here?
Well, it's gone well for Tyler Glasnow, who's been terrific, and it's also gone very well for Gavin Stone, which, if you asked me a month ago, in fact, on FST on Sunday mornings, we had discussed, Matt Stryker and I, with the looming returns of Bobby Miller and Clayton Kershaw, theoretically, that maybe it was time to start kicking the tires on some trades for Gavin Stone. But what's happened now is you have the issue with the shoulder for Clayton Kershaw. You have Walker Buehler going on the IL for a hip problem, which really is the problem of his ERA, which is very heavy for him to hold right now. I think that's putting some strain on the hip personally, but we could talk about that another time. And then, of course, Bobby Miller's return, which has been less than thrilling. Yamamoto hurt now. So Landon Knack has gotten opportunities again. You've also got a situation where now Gavin Stone has a lot of opportunities to stick in this rotation. I think he's going to have a lot of outs, as we would say, in the poker game. And I think that Gavin Stone is a guy right now, you look at his hitting totals, probably around 125 career high. He could probably push into that 140, 150 mark this year, theoretically, from a fantasy standpoint. So that becomes a really good situation because now all of a sudden you're asking Yamamoto, Kershaw, Miller, and Walker Buehler to all be healthy and all be good down the stretch. Now, could the Dodgers go out there and make another move? Of course they could. They're the Dodgers.
Yeah.
They're going to be in some competition with the Yankees, though, if this rotation continues going the way it has. What are we up to? 12 earned runs here in the last two games for Heel. Something like 20 earned runs in the last three games for Carlos Rodon, and we all know what happened to Garrett Cole against the New York Mets this week. So the Yankees and the Dodgers, these two teams at the forefront, certainly have every reason to be looking in the open market for pitching potentially, as there is definitely some concern, I think, with the velocity of Garrett Cole. There's definitely concern with the innings of Heel. And then on the Dodger side of things, too, now you've got these two big market teams competing in that open space for the available pitchers. And if it's the Garrett Crochets of the world, and some other pitchers potentially could be out there in the market, it's going to be fascinating to see what that cost ends up becoming. Because whenever you have two big dogs in this market fighting it out, all of a sudden they could be basically outbidding each other. But Stone, I think, is the beneficiary. He's a guy that's going to stick in this rotation. As you said, he's going to have some really good value down the stretch. So if people are worried about the innings, I would be less so. I'd be buying Gavin Stone if he had the opportunity.
Yeah, and I think 2 points with that. The first point is that you mentioned two names, Kershaw, Buehler. I mean, at this point, no counting on them to come back or even being effective. So I definitely buy that. The other funny part is that you mentioned one name in Garrett Crochet, and it's like if I needed you to name five others, not that you couldn't, but you shouldn't, because every team is still in it right now in Major League Baseball. There's like three teams out, and everybody else is still like fighting for this right now. It's really hard to decipher who's going to be selling at the deadline. For 4 or 5 teams for sure. I probably think that's it. Okay, let's get to one of the rookies in the American League, Wyatt Langford, who going into the season was the highly projected Rookie of the Year in the AL. And if you didn't take Langford, you took, of course, Jackson Holiday. And neither of those guys, I don't think, are going to win the Rookie of the Year. What do you make of the season for Langford?
Well, I wouldn't quite put a pin in Wyatt Langford yet. Maybe Jackson Holiday, that's perfectly fine. But Langford is intriguing. I know you look at these overall numbers and they're not really exciting. But if you look at the last 55 at-bats for him, he's hitting .291 with a .350 OBP and a .473 slugging. Now, that is more exciting. He's also got 5 stolen bases, 2 home runs over that span. If you dial back to last year around this time, Gunnar Henderson was the guy who actually ended up winning the American League Rookie of the Year. People wanted to drop him from their fantasy leagues in May. In the month of April, he had a .189. In the month of May, he had a .213 batting average. His OPS never got over 750 in those 2 months. Then he turned it on the month of June, had terrific July, August, September, and that's all anyone remembers. And as Luis Gil has hit this innings wall, Wyatt Langford is a really intriguing piece. He's so intriguing, Craig. If you look this morning, he is down to plus 600 for this award in a lot of markets. Now, that number 2 weeks ago, when I talked about it on FST, was plus 2,500. That is an enormous leap because I think the market's looking at it and saying, hey, everyday players have a better spot at this award potentially. You're also talking about Heel maybe being sent down to become a 3-inning pitcher, maybe going to the bullpen. Either of those scenarios are bad for him for this award. And we're prisoners of the moment. We end up paying attention a lot more to how players finish than how they started the year. And as great as Heel has been, he's been the favorite for this award, and rightfully so. What's happened here now with Wyatt Langford starting to get healthy, starting to get hot, if he maintains this pace and goes on a run like Henderson did last year, you could very well see this late burning Rookie of the Year once again in the American League. So it's still a good value, plus 600 at 2,400 to 600 in 2 weeks. That's something to circle and realize that the market's starting to turn.
All right, a minute left. A month ago, if we had the NL Rookie of the Year discussion, it was Shota Imanaga and everybody else. Now it's Paul Skeens and everybody else. That's not to say that Skeens won't win it, Joe. But at the same time, we need to recognize that this is sports. These are human beings. And you mentioned Langford. Is there another player on this list for NL Rookie of the Year? Do you think that can beat out Skeens?
Merrill's had a great month, but at the end of the year, I think the hype around Skeens will carry a certain amount unless Imanaga carries the Cubs to the playoffs. That might be a different story.
Yeah. Joe Pisapia, great fantasy analyst, even better cook. When the recipe book comes out, folks, along with the Fantasy Black Book, you got to buy them both. Joe, have a good weekend. Thanks for coming on.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
It was nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody. And of course, Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Got a lot to cover here as we wrap up this show. We got some college football to discuss. We've got some golf to discuss and a whole lot more. So let's get it started. Let's flip some cards over, as they say. I think these kind of look like cards to me as we get started with some last licks. It's like blackjack, right? All right, so we get started here with Nate Lashley. He's not a name that rolls off the tongue, but for those of you who pay attention to the PGA Tour, then you know him very well. In fact, yesterday they opened up the tournament going on this weekend called the Rocket Mortgage Open, and Lashley did something that we all dream of. a hole-in-one. In fact, on the second hole of him playing yesterday, not only was it a hole-in-one, it was one of those really unconventional ones, and unfortunately we cannot show this to you, so I encourage you to do yourself a little Google. Basically what happens is Lashley hits the shot off the tee, and you can't make this up. It goes into the bunker, bounces out of the bunker, and rolls all the way down the green right into the hole. It really doesn't matter how it's done. It just matters that you did it. Naturally, the tournament's going on this weekend. Not the biggest names because, again, the British Open is coming up pretty soon, and a lot of guys are tuning up for that. But congrats to Lashley. All of you watching, have you ever had a hole-in-one before? I personally have never had one before. I know a lot of people say that they have and maybe have made those stories up. It's like catching that big fish. Say, oh, I caught the biggest fish ever. But if you've ever had one, I can only imagine what the feeling must be, especially on the PGA Tour. So congrats to him. All right, the new world of NIL deals. Imagine me telling this story 10 years ago. Imagine me telling this story about any school. That's, by the way, the logo of the University of South Florida, the Bulls. Okay. By the way, the University of South Florida Bulls play in Tampa. I don't know why they're called the South Florida Bulls. They don't play anywhere near me. I am in South Florida. The Bulls are not. So the Bulls basically, imagine me telling you a story that they hosted 18 recruits, totally normal, to come play college football for them for the future. And according to this website On3, they cover college sports, the 18 recruits showed up and they went to Raymond James Stadium, which is in Tampa. The Buccaneers play there too, if you're familiar with it. So do South Florida. And they walk in and they see 13 Lamborghinis getting ready to be given out. I mean, this is crazy, right? Like, imagine that back in the day. You couldn't even give a kid $10. Meanwhile, they walk into the stadium and you thought like remember when they used to say, oh, they did a nice video for me. It was so cool. Every kid gets a Lamborghini if they end up going to the University of South Florida. I have a feeling that a lot of these kids are going to make that choice. And it's like one of those spur-of-the-moment choices, probably not the best decision. But imagine being 17, 18 years old, 19, whatever it is. You walk into the stadium and you see a Lamborghini. How do you say no? It's like it's not even fair. That's where we're at, University of South Florida. All right. Has anybody ever been to Legoland in Florida? I don't know that you have, but if you have, then you have seen this incredible display, by the way. Lego put it out on all their social media channels, and you can check it out on their website. Legoland in Winter Haven, again, not near where the Panthers play, but still pretty cool. They have a new display to honor the champion Florida Panthers. Master model builders constructed a replica of the entire hockey team and placed it into Miniland USA, the section of the theme park that holds a variety of models built from Lego bricks, 4,000 Lego pieces to create 29 hockey players, 20 Florida Panthers fans. There's a lot more than that. And 18 dance team members and 6 actual Panthers, they said in a news release. But I mean, maybe it's just because I live in South Florida, but it feels like this Panther story keeps getting around and around with the celebrations and everywhere that they've been. Seems kind of crazy. Needless to say, the parade is coming up on Sunday. I'm going to guess we'll have something on Monday here from the Panthers parade on Fort Lauderdale Beach. All right, that will do it for our week of shows here on NewsWire. Want to thank our guest today, Jim Gazzale from Legal Sports Report, Joe Pisapia here of course, SportsGrid, and also want to thank Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News all week long, our associate producer Frank, and our producer Michael Cohen. I'm Craig Mish. Coming up next, we have the early line in about 5 minutes, so stay tuned to that. Then guess who's in the house, 3 o'clock Eastern, the notorious one, Scott Farrell, 3 o'clock Eastern. Make sure you tune in, followed by Game Time Decisions, In-Game Live, and Gabe on Sports Rage tonight. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're interested in some fantasy baseball talk, I'll see you tomorrow morning. If not, see you back here Monday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, for our next edition of NewsWire. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you then.